Hello everyone, this is the part 2 of placental function. So before you watch, you can go through with its previous part and the link of that video is given in description box below, where I have been discussed with its function like respiratory function, excretory function and the barrier function. So in this second part, we'll discuss about some other function of the placenta. So before I start with this video, I want to say that please comment more and more that on which topic you want the lecture. So the topic which receives more comment, I try to make the lecture on that topic. So please comment. So in this second part of placental function lecture, I will discuss the nutritive function and the enzymatic function of the placenta. So first is the nutritive function, which is very important function of the placenta, because for all the nourishment of the fetus, it completely depends on the mother. So that's why the mother takes additional calories, protein, fat and the calcium and the vitamins during pregnancy or throughout pregnancy, because to meet the demand of the fetus and for herself. So there are many nutrients that transported across the membrane, and this transportation is through the mother toward the fetus. So if we talk about the most important nutrient that gives energy is the carbohydrate, and this carbohydrate moves toward the fetus in form of very simplest unit, that is monosaccharide, which cannot be break further. So yes, it is the glucose. So glucose is transported from mother to fetus, and for this transfusion it requires facilitated diffusion. So this is the process through which the glucose, which is present in the maternal blood, is used some transporter protein that is present in the phospholipid layer of the syncytial trophoblast. So in this trophoblastic lining, there are some transporter proteins, that is GLUT1, glucose transporter 1. So this transporter takes up the glucose from the maternal circulation, and this will transport across this membrane and releases into the fetal circulation. So by this facilitated diffusion, the glucose, the monosaccharide in form of carbohydrate, is crosses across this membrane and received by fetus. And the other nutrient is the lipid, and this is transported in form of triglycerides and fatty acid. So although the phospholipid layer in this trophoblast is formed by the lipid lining, so that's why the transportation of lipid molecule is more easy toward the fetus. So initially it is being transported from the mother, but later on the fetus itself synthesizes triglycerides and fatty acids. Cholesterol can also be directly transported across this membrane from mother to fetus. And the third nutrient is the protein. So protein is transported in form of amino acids. So here the transportation is again from mother to fetus, but it is against the concentration gradient, because here this process is active transport. Because whenever the molecule moves from lower to higher concentration, they require some energy and they use ATP in form of energy. So here also for the transportation of amino acids, they use ATP and then the amino acids get transferred from mother to fetus, because whatever the amino acids are there in maternal blood, they used and they form protein. So the overall concentration of amino acids is less in mother body, in maternal circulation comparative to fetus. So here the concentration is more toward the fetus. Although it is more, but still the amino acids transport from mother to fetus where the concentration is low. So this requires energy in form of ATP. So this transport is active transport. And here in amino acid, essential amino acids are transport more comparative to non-essential amino acids. So some examples are arginine, histidine, lysine, leucine, isoleucine. So these are some essential amino acids that can transport across this membrane. So this all transported amino acids are used up by the fetus and they form protein within its body. Okay, and the protein in form of immunoglobulins, in that one immunoglobulin can easily cross this barrier, and that is the IgG. So IgG can easily cross this barrier and it can be transport across this membrane from mother to fetus. So the transportation process here is called the endocytosis and exocytosis. So in this what happened, the IgG antibodies which are present in the maternal blood, they become trapped by the fold of plasma membrane in the syncytial trophoblast, and they form vesicle around it and take it into this placental barrier. This process is called endocytosis, and this vesicle later on fuse with the plasma membrane of fetal capillaries. There, after fusion of this vesicle with the plasma membrane, they releases IgG antibodies directly into the fetal circulation. This is called exocytosis. So taking out the IgG antibodies from maternal circulation and forming a vesicle and taking within this barrier is called endocytosis, and the fusion of this vesicle with the plasma membrane of the fetus and by releasing this all molecule toward the fetal circulation is called exocytosis. So by this process, IgG antibodies can easily transfer across this membrane from mother to fetus. Apart from that, some electrolytes can also be transferred across this membrane, where sodium, potassium and chloride, they can easily transfer by the process of simple diffusion, where the more concentration is toward the mother and less is toward the fetus. So from higher to lower concentration, by diffusion it can easily cross. And other like calcium, phosphorus, ions and the water soluble vitamins like vitamin B and vitamin C complexes, they can also be transferred across this membrane, but the process here is the active transport, because again here they require ATP. They require energy for its transport. So these are the nutritive function of the placenta. Now next is the enzymatic function. So here enzymatic function plays very important role because placenta releases many enzymes, out of which some will discuss here, like it releases diamine oxidase. So this enzyme inactivates the pressure amines like histamine, which is mainly responsible for inflammatory response. So whenever the fetal tissues and maternal tissues interact, they create some inflammatory response. So it will, this enzyme will inhibit this inflammatory response and allow the fetal tissues to be invaded in the maternal tissues and to be accepted by the mother's immune response. So by this enzyme, the local immune response of the maternal side gets suppressed and accept the fetal tissues. And the other enzyme is oxytocinase. This inactivates the oxytocin, and we know that oxytocin is very important during labor because the receptors which are present on myometrium, they receive oxytocin and start contracting the muscles, and thereby the labor progresses. So during pregnancy we don't want any oxytocin because no contraction is required. So thereby this enzyme inhibits the activity of oxytocin. And the next enzyme is the phospholipase A2 that synthesizes more arachidonic acid, and this is very important precursor for synthesis of prostaglandins. So prostaglandins are also have importance during labor time because they releases from decidua, fetal membrane, and thereby it start contraction, and also it favors the cervical softening, thereby the cervix get dilated. So these prostaglandins are synthesized from arachidonic acid. So these are certain enzymes that we have discussed here which plays very important role. So here in this second part, I have covered the other two functions of the placenta, that is the nutritive and enzymatic function. Thank you.